Just when people thought the saga had finally run its course, when it seemed like Keyshia was ready to shut the door on her Hunxho chapter for good, she shocked everyone with an announcement no one saw coming: she's pregnant with his child. Before the news could even settle, everything spiraled into disorder. Because while she believed this baby marked a clean slate and a hopeful new beginning, Hunxho was clearly moving in the opposite direction. And he didn't just fumble quietly, he did it loudly, publicly, and without an ounce of discretion. In a jaw-dropping twist, he announced a baby with one woman, only for that same woman to be publicly discarded shortly after. No behind-the-scenes conversations. No decency. Just headlines, awkward silence, and humiliation on full display. Respect never even entered the room. So yes, 2026 is already shaping up to be rough for Keyshia, and here's why. One thing that's become painfully clear about her is that she's determined, almost desperately so, to hold on to a man. Unfortunately, Hunxho actions suggest he has no intention of being held. After all, he just welcomed a child with someone else. And the mess doesn't stop there. The timeline makes things even uglier. It strongly suggests that he conceived this child while still involved with Keyshia. Just days ago, Hunxho casually revealed that he had welcomed a baby girl at the start of the new year. While the announcement itself didn't shock fans, he'd already admitted a baby was on the way. He conveniently left out one major detail: who the mother was. Fans, of course, did what fans do best. After a little online detective work, it became clear that the baby's mother was his ex, Keyshia, someone he already shares a 2-year-old with. Not long after his original "baby on the way" confession, Keyshia posted maternity photos. Then, almost immediately after he confirmed the baby's arrival, she followed up with newborn photos, confirming she'd just given birth. So yes, he really doubled back, had another child with his ex, and did all of this while publicly dating Keyshia. Naturally, most people assumed this would be Keyshia's breaking point. The moment she'd finally choose herself, reclaim her pride, and walk away from the chaos. But instead, everyone was left stunned when it became clear she wasn't going anywhere. Even more surprising? Reports began circulating that she, too, was expecting a baby, with Hunxho. According to insiders, Keyshia didn't stumble into this pregnancy by accident. Allegedly, once she learned that Keyshia was pregnant again, she made a deliberate decision to try for a baby herself. The motive, they claim, was fear of being replaced, sidelined, or erased. And in her mind, the strongest way to secure her position was by sharing a child with him. Yes, you heard that right. Despite being in her 40s, an age when many assumed she'd closed the chapter on motherhood, sources now say Keyshia is pregnant and preparing to welcome a baby in 2026 with Hunxho. What many believed was the end of the story has instead turned into an even more complicated sequel, proving that in this situation, the drama isn't slowing down anytime soon. Keyshia welcoming a baby in her 40s with a 26-year-old boyfriend definitely wasn't on anyone's 2026 prediction list, but somehow, here we are. And if you think the situation is already chaotic, brace yourself. Grip your edges, secure the lace, because the story takes an even sharper left turn. Considering that Keyshia and Hunxho had been together for nearly 2 years, most people assumed that the idea of having a child together was at least a mutual conversation. Logical, right? Apparently not. Someone from Hunxho inner circle decided to spill everything, and what came out wasn't pretty at all. According to the source, Hunxho is telling people that Keyshia baby-trapped him and that he never agreed to becoming a father with her. And to really drive the message home, he allegedly broke things off with her publicly, right in front of his entire crew. No privacy. No grace. Just maximum embarrassment. It was brutal. Oddly enough, the public reaction hasn't exactly been sympathetic toward Keyshia. Many fans feel like the writing was on the wall from day one. Long before the pregnancy drama, Hunxho wasn't exactly subtle about his behavior. Even before getting his ex pregnant again, his cheating habits were already an open secret. The mess started early. Just months into their relationship, rapper Glitter Gloss tossed gasoline on the fire by posting cozy, suspiciously intimate photos with Hunxho. The caption? "You know what it is in real life," followed by a wink to the drama. Keyshia wasn't about to stay silent. She fired back with thinly veiled shade, calling out the situation as nasty work, especially if someone's sneaky linking while claiming they're about to get married. Still, she wrapped it in polite sarcasm, wishing Glitter Gloss luck on her project. Keyshia also took aim at critics, who were dragging her relationship online, pushing back against what she called a fake narrative. She insisted the photos circulating were from an old video shoot, taken before Hunxho even met her. The frustration was clear. She spoke about how people seem desperate to see others miserable and unhappy, adding that while she understood how Hollywood works, she wasn't surprised, just disappointed. Even then, she claimed to wish love, health, and prosperity for everyone involved. But Glitter Gloss wasn't done. She clapped back hard, invoking respect for elders, before dropping a bombshell, saying she'd been with Hunxho the night before and had seen Keyshia crying while blowing up his phone. The disrespect was loud, public, and unapologetic. And it only got worse. Glitter Gloss went live and revealed that Hunxho had never once mentioned having a girlfriend. That moment alone should have been the final cue for Keyshia to grab her dignity and walk away. The denial was blatant. The disrespect was undeniable. But she didn't leave. Instead, Keyshia stayed firmly planted, standing beside him as if loyalty itself could rewrite reality. She wore that support like a badge of honor. Unfortunately, what did that unwavering devotion earn her? Even more humiliation. Hunxho hopped on Instagram Live and openly admitted to cheating, not once, not occasionally, but habitually. Multiple women. No shame. No remorse. He said it plainly, almost proudly, as if exposing the truth was part of the plan all along. Still, Keyshia defended him. On Twitter, she snapped back at critics, telling them to stop recycling old narratives and images. She made it clear she was tired of explaining, tired of being misunderstood, tired of people clinging to outdated versions of her life. She warned folks she was blocking negativity for real this time. When someone sarcastically responded that money seemed to be the only standard holding the relationship together, the disbelief practically dripped from the screen. Keyshia didn't hesitate. She shut it down immediately, saying people need to stop sending her old, stale nonsense. People grow. People learn. Life doesn't stay frozen. And that line said everything. What she was really expressing wasn't just frustration, it was self-definition. A declaration that she isn't the woman the public keeps trying to box her into. She's lived through chapters they don't see, made choices they don't understand, and evolved beyond the version of her they're stuck on. Whether people agree with her decisions or not, one thing is clear: Keyshia believes she's allowed to change, and she's standing on that, no matter how loud the noise gets. Of course, the internet refuses to let anyone grow quietly. Someone slid in with that smug, cutting energy and asked, "You gonna remember this when your heart breaks again?" As if pain is a one-time lesson. As if heartbreak comes with a lifetime immunity card. Keyshia's response wasn't defensive or dramatic, it was weary, grounded. "My heart been broke before. Y'all gotta chill. Relax." That wasn't denial. That was lived experience speaking. The voice of someone who understands exactly how devastating love can be and still chose to feel it anyway. And then, unsurprisingly, the breakup became real. Not whispered through rumors or hinted at with cryptic captions. It landed heavy. The kind of ending you don't just hear about, you feel it in your chest. When it finally hit, Keyshia didn't mask it. There was no polished post about healing, no carefully curated moment of quiet strength. She was shattered, and it showed. While performing I Understand on stage, her emotions broke through completely. This wasn't vulnerability for the cameras. This wasn't a viral moment planned in advance. This was grief colliding with muscle memory. Lyrics she'd sung 1,000 times suddenly carried fresh weight, and her body gave in before her mind could stop it. Her voice cracked. Her breathing faltered. Her face revealed everything she might have wanted to keep private. You could read it all in her expression, the hurt, the exhaustion, the kind of heartbreak that comes from loving too deeply, too earnestly. It wasn't just about losing him. It was about the future she imagined, the hope she invested, the belief that maybe this time would be different. Watching her push through tears to finish a song about love and pain felt like witnessing every old wound reopen at once. Most people thought that was the end of the chapter. The release. The moment where she cried it out, felt it publicly, and then rose again as the woman who'd survived worse before. The Keyshia who doesn't let anyone play in her face. Or so it seemed. Because then came the twist no one wanted, yet everyone expected: she went back. And it's honestly unsettling watching someone so much younger treat her emotions so carelessly, so openly. No secrecy. No shame. Just moving however he wanted, fully aware of the hold he had over her. What made it worse? He didn't change. No sudden maturity. No grand realization. No effort to meet her where she was. Same behavior. Same patterns. Same red flags waving freely. That's where the frustration deepened, not just for fans, but for anyone who's ever watched someone they care about return to what hurt them. Here's the truth people avoid: love doesn't shut off just because logic tells it to. Growth doesn't mean you never repeat a mistake. Sometimes growth is knowing better and still not being ready to walk away. People talk about self-worth and standards like switches you flip, but emotions don't work that way. Trauma doesn't. Attachment doesn't. And when you've endured as much as she has, the pain you recognize can feel safer than peace you don't yet understand. Watching her go back wasn't just messy, it was deeply human. It's easy to judge choices like that because nobody wants to see themselves reflected in them. But so many people have gone back to someone who embarrassed them, hurt them, or never changed. They ignored their own advice, made excuses, told themselves this time would be different. The difference is, most people don't have millions of eyes watching, waiting to say, "I told you so." That's why the commentary turned cruel. Jokes disguised as concern. Think pieces dripping with judgment. Pain treated like entertainment. Tears framed as weakness instead of proof of how deeply she feels. There's something especially unforgiving in how women are treated when they love openly. Vulnerability is celebrated, until it gets messy. Growth is praised, until it doesn't look clean. Then it becomes, she should have known better, she's too old for this, she's embarrassing herself. As if success cancels emotional wounds. As if age protects you from heartbreak. What people miss is that taking someone back doesn't mean forgetting the pain. It means remembering the good too. And when you're torn between comfort and hurt, between longing and self-respect, logic doesn't always win. Especially when hope creeps in, that dangerous belief that maybe the love you poured in wasn't wasted. Hope can trap you. It can keep you stuck. And yet, it's one of the strongest forces there is. So when people ask, didn't she learn, the answer is probably yes. She learned exactly how much it hurts. She learned exactly who he is. She learned exactly what's at risk. And she chose him anyway, at least for now. That doesn't make her foolish. It makes her human. Detachment doesn't happen in one clean moment, it's a process. Sometimes you have to touch the stove more than once before your body believes what your mind already knows. The saddest part isn't even that she went back. It's that you can see she knows better and is still battling herself. That quiet war between who she's becoming and the love she hasn't released yet. It shows in her voice, her posts, those moments on stage when the mask slips. You can hear it when she sings. You can feel it when she speaks. And maybe one day, she'll be done, for real. Not because the internet demanded it. Not because embarrassment forced her hand. But because something inside her finally shifts. Until then, people will talk. They'll project. They'll pretend healing is linear and strength never cracks. But healing is messy. Strength cries on stage. Growth circles back before it moves forward. And love doesn't disappear just because it's inconvenient. Whether people understand it or not, she's living it in real time, and maybe that's what makes everyone so uncomfortable. After taking him back, she went live and casually admitted he hadn't taken her on a date in an entire year. A full year. Let that sink in. No dinner. No movie. Not even a late-night drive-through dressed up as quality time. And considering they'd only been together for about that long, the implication was loud. There was never real effort from the start. No romance. No courtship. Just access and convenience. She laughed it off, tried to seem unbothered, but the pauses between her words said everything. No one shares that publicly unless they've already had that argument with themselves in private, over and over again. So yes, Hunxho put her through it. And for reasons only she can fully explain, she stood firmly beside him. She defended him when the internet dragged him. Dismissed cheating rumors. Doubled down whenever people questioned what she was getting out of the relationship. And that's what made it so hard to watch, because she was softer than we'd ever seen her. More forgiving. More hopeful. She wanted it to work so badly that she ignored patterns she would have clocked instantly before. That wasn't weakness. That was love. And love, for better or worse, can make even the strongest people bend. When you compare this chapter to her past relationships, this version of her almost feels unfamiliar. She was never known for chasing love, begging for affection, or putting herself in positions that invited public embarrassment. Historically, she moved with confidence. She set the tone. She was pursued, not pleading. Boundaries came naturally to her. But something about this relationship shifted that balance completely. Maybe it was her age. Maybe it was timing. Maybe it was the desire to finally settle down, build a family, and rewrite how her love story ended. Whatever the reason, it pushed her into compromises that didn't reflect the woman people thought they knew. Her past with rapper Jeezy offers a revealing example. In an interview, he once admitted that she had proposed to him while they were together. He didn't say it to mock her or embarrass her, but the honesty in his words spoke volumes. He openly acknowledged that she had asked him to marry her, then explained how he had to stop her and be real. He told her he wasn't there yet. He was focused on getting himself together, securing his money, and taking care of me and mine. And he made it clear that mine didn't include her. That moment highlights a recurring pattern in her love life. She loves deeply and without restraint. When she commits fully, sometimes before the other person has even decided they're ready. There's nothing wrong with being a romantic, but the imbalance becomes painful when that intensity isn't returned. When one person is planning a future and the other is still figuring themselves out, heartbreak is almost inevitable. And it's usually the one who loved harder who pays the price. With Hunxho, it seems she believed that loyalty, patience, and eventually motherhood would bring everything into focus. Like if she just stayed a little longer, defended him a little more, tolerated a little more disrespect, things would finally stabilize. Maybe she believed having his child would ground him, mature him, or force him to rise to the occasion. That belief isn't uncommon, but history has shown over and over that babies don't repair broken foundations. They expose them. Instead of receiving commitment, security, or even consistent respect, she ended up pregnant and alone. And that's where public sympathy becomes complicated. No one deserves to be cheated on, humiliated, or disrespected, especially not during pregnancy, a time that already demands emotional and physical vulnerability. But at the same time, the red flags weren't hidden. They weren't subtle. They were loud, repetitive, and visible in real time. People warned her. Fans warned her. The internet warned her. His behavior warned her. But she chose potential over patterns. She trusted promises over proof. She stood beside a man who repeatedly showed he wasn't standing beside her. That's why some people struggle to feel sympathy, not because she deserved the outcome, but because she kept moving toward it while silencing every alarm along the way. And this is where the story lands. A woman who defended a man who never truly defended her. Who endured cheating rumors, public disrespect, and situations that would have sent most people running. She absorbed humiliation quietly at first, then openly, then publicly. She tried to normalize bare minimum effort. She convinced herself that love meant endurance, even when that endurance was draining her peace, her pride, and eventually her happiness. In the end, she found herself right back where she started. Pregnant. Heartbroken. Allegedly discarded in front of people who were never rooting for her in the first place. People watching not with compassion, but judgment, waiting for the moment they could say, "I told you so." And public heartbreak cuts differently. It's not just losing someone, it's losing them in front of an audience already questioning your choices. Meanwhile, Hunxho walked away as if this was just another chapter he could close without consequence. No visible accountability. No public remorse. No acknowledgement that matched the damage left behind. Just distance. And that's what stings the most. The emotional labor, the defending, the sacrifices, those weren't shared equally. One person carried the weight, and the other simply moved on. What makes this even harder is that none of it was shocking. This wasn't a sudden betrayal. This wasn't a man who changed overnight. The signs were there the entire time, the lack of effort, the missing dates, the cheating rumors, the emotional absence. The way she was constantly explaining, justifying, and cleaning up messes that were never hers to fix. The ending surprised everyone, except maybe her. That's why this story hurts. Not because it's rare, but because it's familiar. It's the story of loving harder than you're loved back. Of confusing patience with loyalty and endurance with devotion. Of believing that staying long enough will eventually create change, only to realize it brings clarity instead. Love without reciprocity always leads to loss. Now she has to rebuild. Not just her heart, but her relationship with love itself. She has to learn how to pour into herself the way she poured into him. She has to unlearn the idea that suffering is proof of commitment. Because real love doesn't require you to shrink, sacrifice your dignity, or tolerate disrespect to be chosen. Real love shows up. Real love meets you where you are.